taking over, that's a promise, not a threat.
Uppercut, season off top, you stop breathing.
Yeah, what's good, yo? Welcome to another episode of Real Talk, where as always, if shit's real, we talk about it. I'm your host for tonight, Pat Scorpio, the Negative Representative, and as always, I got my man with me. I'm gonna let him introduce himself.
Hey, what it do? Shuttleworth the guy, aka the GOAT artist. I mean, LG, out of Del Boss, RingGangRadio.com in the building. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Ring Gang in the house forever and always. And as always, I got my other man with me, and I'm gonna let him introduce himself.
It's Flyers for Conscious Pod, aka the West Coast Avenger, and the number one contender preparing for liftoff. Destination Ring Gang Radio. Let's get fly, man.
Yes, sir. Conscious Pod says elevating above the clouds. And shout out to King P. Usually he'd be here tonight, but I think he's on his currently on his way back from vacation. So yeah, you will hear him, probably next week or so. So it's all good. Salute to him.
You have to get some King P spin-offs in the pipeline. I mean,
oh yeah, no doubt. That's for damn sure.
I feel like 50. This is stars. I'm like, yo, give me some King P. Some more King P episodes. Like after this,
we need some more Book episodes. But yeah, man, we had a fairly interesting weekend of boxing, man. It was no fight of the years on there, but several hard hitting fights for sure.
I was entertained. I was entertained. I would probably give this weekend a good B plus.
Yeah. Even
if someone said an A minus, I wouldn't even argue against the A minus because I was entertained this weekend.
Right, because at least at the most, like the main events of all of all three cards, definitely it definitely hit, which is important. The first one came from Eddie's camp, Matchroom, where we had the rematch between Josh Warrington and then the IBF featherweight champion of the world, Kiko Martinez. Now the first fight they fought 4 years ago. Warrington, this of course, probably a little bit more prime. He won the majority decision over Kiko, who was dead at the beginning of a slide, and Warrington was on his way up. So now the roles are kind of reversed now, in terms of now Kiko Martinez is champion. And one thing that's it pretty much like the whole mood was that Warrington had to win this fight because Warrington had not looked too good in his last two fights. Of course, both with Mauricio Lara. One he got brutally knocked out, and then the other one, he he escaped. With a no contest. And
it was leading up to look like another good fight. And I hate how the roughhouse tactics and all that shit kind of killed what looked like we was gonna have a good fight.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I like Warrington as a fighter, but clearly he got on this bullshit. Like, this dude opened up 3 cuts on Kiko's face with invert headbutts. Like, and he did this shit in the Lara fight too. Like, I gotta call a spade on this shit. Like, Warrington, luckily this fight wasn't stopped because of the cuts, but it was the type of shit where it should, the cuts clearly affected how things should have gone. Because
he does it more now after the first Lara loss.
Yeah.
I don't remember him being so, extra with the headbutts before.
Yeah, it's like his, fool me once, you think, okay, the Lara fight was inadvertent, but I kind of shook it off. But this one, it's like, it was like watching fucking Marcus Brown doing this headbutt shit. He rips open Badu Jack's forehead, the same shit, and he tried to do it with Pascal, and Pascal's head was probably harder than his, and he got opened up, and then he did a shit that better be if gave him more injuries that he's probably still shaking off right now. That.
See, Pascal and Betterby made him pay for that shit.
Yeah, they absolutely did, and so you can tell when boxers just simply like, you know what, man, I didn't want a hard fight, so I gotta try to either steal this fight or I gotta try to, or try to get it where I'm not gonna take a loss, and that's Warrington in this fight. And he shouldn't have to do it against Kiko. Kiko himself is pretty warm, but I guess Kiko had too much momentum because he one punch knocked out someone that Warrington struggled with, really struggled with. So it was just like, I can't let Kiko get.
So struggle, but still won clearly.
Yeah, no, but it was like Warrington's worst fight up to the Laura loss, like for sure.
And then we later found out that Kid Galahad is just a spoiler ass dude. That, you know what I mean? Like, he has ugly fights.
Yeah.
And he's not as good as people claim he's supposed to be.
Right. And in this part, but with Warrington now, like, you know, Warrington was trying, like, after the headbutts, and then he was roughing him up into the ropes. He was using his forehead. The referee had to keep warning him not to do that. You know, it was like, Warrington clearly had a plan, but it was a plan just to try to get the older man, you know, out of sorts or whatever, just to make him bleed, so he'll stop it because of a technical decision or whatever. And then, of course, obviously, just whipping all types of combinations into Martinez. He dropped him in the first round too. So it wasn't like, okay.
It was a hard drop too.
Yeah, it was.
I was like, God damn.
You know, but I'll give Kiko Martinez credit as well. Like, Kiko was adamant of trying to remain champion. Like, dude was like, you know what? Nah, I'm not going out like that. Like, shout out to Kiko's corner for actually keeping them cuts under control. Like,
facts, because they let him hang in there and ban his own punishment.
Right, and then, you know, during the fight, it was like, well, Warrington, you know, when Kiko had Warrington on his back foot, like, he was at his expected, because Warrington doesn't fight too off his back foot, you know, and Kiko does, but I think the cut kind of really hindered how he do it, because there were times where I thought the referee was going, we were going to get one of them English stoppages, you know, where you could see that Martinez was trying to weather the storm a little bit and not, wait to throw back or wait to counter, which he was doing. He was countering in the beginning. He was countering. Like, you see the uppercuts, you can see the hooks that he was trying to counter with, and then when he catch him clean, you see Warrington back off, and then go, and then Kiko would do what he does. But Warrington got a little bit more dirtier, and although there was some times though where Warrington, he won a couple of rounds. Like, he showed the boxing where he was just throwing out a jab, to try to open up the cuts even more.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. Like, he could have made the fight easier. Like, you saw, he's not no Keith Thurman where he could go backwards and counterpunch you and look all finesse and shit. Like,
right?
That ain't him. But he could box a little bit and move around and be lateral, use some lateral move, pump the jab out. He could do that. And I mean, this is an older Kiko Martinez. Like, you ain't got to turn into damn Roy Jones or some shit. Like,
right.
Just box a little bit. And he did that in spurts, but it's like, you could have just did that the whole fight and just turn it up whenever you wanted it. But,
yeah, I think he made the fight just a little bit harder than what he needed to be.
Do you think he was super dirty? Because I was reading a lot of comments. I was watching. I didn't really notice the headbutts, but they were saying there's crazy amount of headbutts that weren't.
Yeah, of course he was. Yeah, no, he absolutely was. Like, yeah. I mean,
it seemed like he improved it, like, from the last Laura fight. Like, he got better.
But I feel like the stoppage was okay. It wasn't a full-on British stoppage to me.
Yeah, the stoppage is interesting too, because we found a couple things afterwards. Like, the stoppage, Kiko clips him with a really, really good right hand that had Warrington kind of shaking a little bit, like, but after
that same right hand dropped Galahad.
Yeah, exactly. But then Warrington actually came alive and, like, you know what? I'm a volume puncher. This is an old dude, so let me do what he had to do. And he showed flashes of what he was, what made him so special. And yeah, the stoppage was perfect. Like, Kiko was kind of done from taking.
He wasn't throwing back since the fourth, or he wasn't throwing back for a few rounds when those flurries were happening. Hell, the first round when he got dropped on the ropes, it was like whenever Kiko got backed up on the ropes, he was never throwing back. Even though some of those shots weren't landing by Warrington, I feel like.
Well, he was trying to counter him. That's what he was trying to do, and he was successful at sometimes. But when it got, I guess, like, when he got worn down by all that roughhousing and pressure, and I mean that's what eventually did him in. It's like, because Kiko was complaining about the headbutts. There was no, but the stoppage itself was as legit as it could be. So enough respect to Josh Warrington that he regained the title, but as we found out later, like, Warrington got some damage in that fight. a broken hand and a broken jaw, and suspected the right hand the final right hand that he took was the one that did it. You know, before he let off that killer instinct combo.
He's like, fuck it. Like, yeah, he was determined on that. And I'm like, dude, you could have just did that a while ago. Like, I don't know. He just had a real. I don't know. You know what? It did seem like they had a little animosity to each other too.
Right.
So I mean, maybe that kind of played into it, but Warrington, like, maybe the atmosphere, because I mean, you know, yeah, Ebony Bridges on the card, and, you know, she had them, you know, live too in a good ass fight. So
right, that was the best woman fight of the year, probably. You know,
it was definitely a great fight. You know, Ebony Bridges did her thing.
The best woman's, I don't know, because I think Callie, her fight I think was more entertaining.
Which one?
I can't say her last name. I keep forgetting. The shorty who's in her corner, actually.
What card was it? Which card was it on?
It was on it was a matchroom card. You know, one of them marathon cards.
Oh yeah. Well, it was competitive fight. It was for a title, so I was like, you know, shit. I thought
it was both title fights. Yeah, I mean, both fights were good, but
yeah.
I can't remember what was her name. Like, she the chick who got that movie.
Oh, Callie Reese.
Callie Reese fight. Yeah,
I mean, that's the one I was there for. The one against Kamara. That's the one I was there for in New Hampshire.
Yeah, that shit was like almost fight of the year. Like,
that shit was a true fight. Yeah, like they was bleeding. Like if it was bleeding, it was blood, nigga. So that because I saw both of them afterwards. Like they tore each other up, you know. So that was.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Ebony Bridges fight, that Roman fight, that was a good fucking fight. Like,
yeah, no,
but I don't think it was like, because Bridges kind of energy kind of went down after a little bit.
Yeah, but because in that one, Roman, like, she had a bad strategy because I think the strategy was to wear her out, but in doing so, she let Ebony Bridges bank a little bit too many rounds, and then and Ebony Bridges kind of wore out. You know, she tried to come on, but she didn't have the knockout power. I mean, she had no knockouts, period. So it's like,
and then Bridges was still throwing and using her strength too. So it's like, if you're not gonna use your feet.
Yeah, it wasn't like, you know, Shannon Courtney. Courtney, like, once Ebony Bridges, you know, tired out, Courtney was, you know, was putting foot to ass, but Bridges was just still throwing, you know.
Yeah.
You know, but shout out to Ebony Bridges for winning her first world title, and shout out to Just Warrington, because I'm pretty sure we're gonna see more doubleheaders from those two in the future. I know. I seen them pictures on Twitter. You know, them
Leeds combo.
Post game. You know, and I'm pretty sure Eddie is like, and you know, and also both of them were, you know, kind of had a little bit of the potty mouth. Like Ebony Bridges was like, "Fuck this, fuck that," you know, "Fuck you, you think I can't fight." And Warrington, same thing. You know, he went to full snatch mode in terms of what he was talking. You know, and it was.
I mean, they got chips on their shoulder. I can understand. Like,
yeah, but at least,
I get it.
Yeah, but at least, I mean, Warrington's gonna be out for a while, because I know now. But I think probably the silliest part of the whole was the cast was fucking Tony Bellew. I don't know what his problem was. This nigga was talking about, oh, so yeah, do you want to see Mauricio Lara versus, was it Navarrete or something like that?
No, he said Kiko Martinez and Lara.
Oh yeah. I was like, why?
Like, I'm like, when I heard that, I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with this dude? Like,
yeah, it's like, did you get hit in the head too much? It's like, yo, it's like, why would we want to see that fight for?
Yeah, like, how dare you mention that shit? Like,
yeah, I mean, if Kiko won, then sure, give Lara a title shot. You know, Kiko's champion, but after that, I don't want to see that. I want to see Lara and Warrington. I want Lara.
Kiko won a war last night, and I still wanted to see that.
Yeah, exactly.
You know they're gonna do probably Lee Wood versus Warrington. You know,
that's a hard fight.
Yeah, they want to. I mean, I know right now LSC is probably the one in the picture, because LSC is pretty much. I mean, Firstly, I hope LC does give up the belt because, frankly, I mean, what's he doing at that weight? He nothing. He
He's
hasn't
been
done
fighting,
anything.
at 130 for a while, so
Yeah, so it's
Just
like,
give him the damn belt.
So is
Yeah.
that if he drops the belt, does that mean Lee is automatically the champion, or he has to?
yeah, he's the full champion
Okay.
because Michael Collin was like the interim champion when he won that fight, and so
Yeah.
it's like, if LC gives up his belt, then Lee Wood is the full WBA champion, and then a real unification can take place between him and Warrington, and I know Eddie wants that to happen. Because I mean, and like I said, I mean, LC can be beaten by Warrington, but Warrington's probably gonna be down for a little bit, recovering from his broken hand and jaw. And truthfully, that's not really a good sign if you're getting those injuries from Kiko Martinez, especially an old one. So
Yeah, like you don't want to put the training wheels on him, but you're gonna want to put him in equal fights because the time is ticking on Warrington career. I think that fighting style just
I think it's the Laura fight did a lot of damage, more damage than because I think Laura kind of he chipped away at his punch resistance because I mean that fight, like I said, Laura was landing everything on Warrington, and Warrington took everything like flush.
Yeah.
So yeah,
and he gained back though because I mean Laura had to take some punishment that fight too. Like it was a good fight, but goddamn, like at what cost?
Yeah, exactly. So
Even Laura was getting tagged in his last fight until he had it's like honestly, you know what? Low key, when I think about it, he did the same thing that Warrington did. It's like they had a switch went off, and then they got the stop. But you notice that like. I remember Laura was even struggling with dude that did that last knockout.
Mm-hmm.
Like a switch went off, and then he was like, "What the fuck am I doing?" And he got dude in the corner and just folded dude like, "Wow."
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with Warrington. Like Kiko Martinez landing that overhand right, and it's like, "Oh shit!" Like,
yeah,
he had to clinch. He was like, "Oh, like it was like that." What's that? I think it was Richard Pryor, the stand-up. We was talking about how Muhammad Ali had to fight Leon Spinks in the rematch.
Oh yeah. Yo, that's a classic stand-up, by the way.
Classic. If you're a boxing fan, you got to see that, at least that part. So YouTube, Google it or something. But he basically was on some shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh shit, hold on, this motherfucker can hit.
Yeah, I'm saying but Warrington, Warrington, like I said, I mean, any fight, featherweight right now is starting to get really hot right now with the types of matches in terms of the champions that actually hold the belts, man. So Warrington wants to get back in the mix sometime later this year after he's kind of healed. I'm all for it. Lee Wood will be a fight of the year on paper. And like I said, Warrington might be in trouble, like for real. If he faces him or Maxeo, especially Navarrete. If he faces Navarrete, he gets bodied.
If we was to do it in like the order of who would beat his ass the most from greatest to mid, it would go from Navarrete, Lee Wood, Masago,
Maxeo,
over that box Maceo, and I think he'll beat LLC. So, and I don't think that's
LLC will
gonna
probably
happen.
get beat. LLC will probably lose to Warrington. It will be a war, no question. It'll be like they'll be throwing hands, but that was
He's like the British. He's like the British version of LSC, to be honest.
But the good thing is too, Warrington's actually gotten more knockouts lately than LSC has, and Warrington only has 7 knockouts.
Yeah, that's true.
Like I've actually seen
like
Warrington more fighters.
I feel like Warrington took more meaningful fights in like less time.
Yeah, I'm saying LC's opponents, he's not even hurting. He's not even hurting them or dropping them. Warrington, at least, like when dude's throwing his hands, like it's clear that some of these cats are getting affected by his punches. LC is just like he's throwing hands, but these cats ain't going nowhere.
It's like they just like you saw Tank walk through his shit like.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Like they hit you, but you're like. Like, I'm not saying they don't sting or they don't hurt or nothing, but they just not the type of punches that.
LC hasn't shown no real
stop
power.
You.
Yeah, LC hasn't shown no real power since probably 122. That's probably so. And honestly, it's probably gonna get worse. So that's why it's like, why, who knows why he's sticking around at 126? You know, he should just let Lee Wood take over his belt, and you know, let all the cats, you know, start warring with each other like proper like.
Yeah, because eventually the fight that's going to need to be made is Navarrete and Lee Wood.
Exactly, you know, I mean, and that's definitely coming. Like, I mean, hopefully by like next year or something. You know, that is, of course, Navarrete doesn't get upset shockingly or anything like that. Of course.
And even then, it's like I feel like both are like, damn, like it's crazy because I think that fight determines a pound for pound placement.
Yeah, before I mean, and I said it before. Like Navarrete is probably knocking on a spot. Like Navarrete is actually.
He's already knocking on a spot. Like if you had him number 10, I wouldn't even complain.
Yeah, right now I would have him probably. I mean, he's not top 10, but he's probably like at least in like 15, like some spot between 11 and 15. But he would need to body another champion for me to actually make room on there, and he can do it. You know this. You know, I think, you know, it's definitely time. So yeah, like featherweight is an exciting time right now, man. Like all these champions right now, they're vulnerable. They fight, but they're vulnerable. You know, and contenders too, man. So
I would allow it.
Yeah. It match at least matchroom the main event. At least it had, you know. So like I said, you know, it was good. Like, you know, it was nice and violent and everything like that. And Top Rank also, you know, had a main event that was also